I'm 𝗬𝗲𝗄𝗿, a recognized thought leader in the Microsoft Dynamics community and a Microsoft MVP for business applications. Welcome to the Get Your New View podcast. Keep listening to learn how we work with frustrated Business Central and NAV users who struggle to use their system and find the answers that they need. We teach them to truly understand how the system can support their business processes to make immediate and lasting improvements. As a result, they get more done in less time, make better business decisions, and even love their system. Let's talk a little bit more about the information that we want to give you today, which is web resources for Business Central. So that our first speaker, Kim, can share her screen with what she has to show us about web resources for Business Central.
I'm very excited today to talk about web resources. This is one of my favorite things, and I always love learning new things and finding new websites that have a lot of information. So one of the first ones that I use quite a bit, I'm going to go with the standard learn.microsoft.com. This site is chock full of great information. It's a great place to start. So you can see here, you're able to filter once you go to the site. And you go down to the learning paths and the modules. You can filter this by Business Central. You'll find it under Dynamics 365. So I'm filtering to Business Central. And you can see here, I've got 325 results. I remember when this used to say like 12. So it's kind of nice. There's a lot more in here. And, some of them are going to be just as simple as creating a new company in Business Central. So they've really Microsoft has done a really good job of going back and kind of filling in some of those little things that weren't there to begin with. So you can see here, there's just a ton of great information here. If we click into one, you'll see, it's going to tell you the learning objectives. It'll let you go into there and walk you through this class. Has anybody used this site before? Raise your hand if you've used this site. I love how Carrie raises her hand and everybody else uses the hand. That's amazing. All right, the other site I like to do, and this is I'm not sure if everybody's heard about, always fun with the teams there. I don't know if everybody's heard about Tech Days. It used to be NAB Tech Days overseas in Belgium. This was a really cool conference. I don't remember when I first discovered it, but it was quite a while ago. Has anybody went to Tech Days in Belgium? Okay, cool. So I love that they put all of the content out on YouTube after the sessions. So there's some great sessions from last year that, I watched a couple of these. So this is one place to go and look for all of that great content. And I can't remember, this year I think they were having it at a different time. So be sure to look out for when that comes out. But there's a lot of great stuff. It will tend to be a little bit more technical. This conference is a little bit more on the technical side, a little bit light on the functional side. But even for people who are maybe not as technical, it's a good way to go in and just kind of see how things work. It gives you a little peek under the hood. So this one's a good one as well. And then, of course, one of my all-time favorites, and I always love seeing what Eric is up to, 𝗬𝗲𝗄𝗿. He literally wrote the book on Business Central. So that's always fun. So not only does he have blogs, YouTubes, he has the book on 𝗬𝗲𝗄𝗿, which is super helpful. It's a great resource. But I really do love his blog because I think Eric looks at things from a different perspective. And now a lot of times it gives you a little bit more creative take on how to maybe do some things and get 𝗬𝗲𝗄𝗿 to do things that maybe you're like, I can't do that. But then Eric sometimes finds a way. So this is a really good one to go out and check out. He's got a ton of stuff on 𝗬𝗲𝗄𝗿. He also does, a pretty good recap of the different releases. So that's nice as well to see it from a technical perspective. So another great resource. First of all, I love the way that Savannah Dill named her blog. This is like the most creative name for a blog ever in the history of the world. But she has some great content out there. And if you're kind of interested in Power Platform, Power BI, and then also Business Central, this is a great place to go and just get some great information about those. And again, she really covers a lot of great stuff in here. And then last one, this is a recent addition because 𝗩𝗂𝗂𝗄𝗿 just got her blog up and going again. Sean has some great information about she'll have some great information coming as well about Power BI, Power Platform, Business Central. So she's just getting this up and going, but Sean is a great source of fountain of knowledge of all things BC, Nav, Power BI, all of that. So those are mine. Those are my top ones.
Em, can you tell everybody a little bit about Sean's app that she's going to be publishing a lot of information? I think it's just absolutely worth mentioning. And it's a fascinating example. And I think that it's a great way for people to learn more about practical ways we can use that type of stuff.
Yeah. Full disclosure, Sean and I have been really good friends for at least 15 years now. And it's been great to see Sean's journey through the Power Platform. She really just kind of dug in and started learning it. And one of the things that she did was, when we were starting to play around with Power Apps, was she was looking for a really good example, something she could work on and learn about. And she took the example of her dad is this just 100% cowboy, lives on a farm in Kansas, raises cows, and hates technology. Like, no joke, she bought him a laptop. He uses it for a doorstop. So her vision was to create an app that he could use to keep track of his cows in it. Had no idea there was a ton of information you need to track against each cow. And then they also track when the cows are artificially inseminated. So they have to track that. They track all the veterinary records that go along with that, and they predict when the cow is gonna have the calf. So to watch her like build this app and then make iteration after iteration and then use it every time she just got done using it. It's really a great story, and it's really a neat use of an app. Her dad actually uses it, sits on a horse with his phone, and logs all the information on the calves as they're doing the stuff that, I don't know, cowboys do. It's a great Microsoft ad if Microsoft ever decides to make one, but like it's exactly what you picture the Power Platform being. Like giving somebody who normally wouldn't have access to technology or know how to use technology, making it so easy that they can, even a cowboy on a horse can use it in the middle of a farm in Kansas.
Kim, I just wanted to add, I think Sean also had some personal intentions for doing it because previously her dad was writing all this down in a notebook, and his handwriting was so bad that when she tried to read it to put it into a computer, she didn't know what it was. So it was all the way from this handwritten notebook to just clicking buttons on a phone.
Yeah. I mean, I can just envision the whole Microsoft commercial, like from that to the doorstop computer and then him using the app on his horse. It'd be amazing.
I love it. All right. Great examples, Kim. Thanks very much for those. Carrie, what do you have to share with us as far as examples that you wanted to show people today?
Yes. So I do have 3 examples, but I have 3 specific examples, and I'm covering these in an order for a reason, which I'll make sure that I cover. But before I even jump into my first one, has anyone ever gone into Business Central only to find that you think something is different than the day before? If so, raise your hand, because I know that this happens to me. Yeah, probably on a regular basis. So when we talk about why is it important to stay updated with what's new and coming and going to be released, it's mostly so that we can be aware of what these new things are, know that, as much as possible, know what's going to be coming into the system, and most importantly, make use of those new features that are available, because most of the time it's Microsoft trying to make our lives easier in Business Central. The first resource that I would like to share is, I call it the Release Planner. You can find it just by Google searching Business Central Release Planner, or it's releaseplans.microsoft.com. And as you can see on the left side, we have the different options similar to what Kim was showing in Learn. We want to find Business Central. And this piece is very important because I've had people reach out to me and say like, oh my gosh, I found this new feature I didn't know existed, and they're showing me the documentation. And I'm like, well, I didn't know that existed either, only to find we're maybe looking at a different Microsoft product like F&O or, something else. So very important to make sure first and foremost that when you're looking for documents, advice, all of that, make sure that it is Business Central or nav specific. So in this release planner, I can see that I have all release plans. And the thing that I like is I can create my own personal release planner, because this is a lot of new release information in here. So what I like to do is as an approach is, when I have maybe like 30 minutes or so, I like to just kind of skim through this. I'll, look at the descriptions of things. If it's something that I think could be helpful for myself or for a customer or someone else using the software, I will add it to my personal release planner. And then when I have more time, I can go back and I can review each of those in depth. So if I just kind of look, I usually start under user experiences or application, because for me, those are the things that most often affect me as an end user and consultant. But I do like to look in the other categories as well, because sometimes there's things I miss if I'm not looking in there. So as an example, we have, let's just see, manage subscription, billing, and revenue and expense recognition. So I have not looked at this one yet, but if I come in here, I could look at the description. There's really not a lot here. I could go into learn more, and I can get some more information on why Microsoft is adding this new feature, what it is. Oftentimes there will be screenshots as well. So let's try to find one where there is a screenshot. Let's do this one. Use directed put away and pick warehouses with projects. So again, this is a very short description, but if I go into learn more, I can see that there's more feature details on this one. If you also notice at the top, we have what's planned, what's coming soon, and what we can try now. So things get a little bit more maybe fleshed out as they get to the coming soon and try it now phase. So I can also click into what is coming soon as well as what we can try now. And the try now for me is really where it's like, okay, this is something that I have the ability to actually go in and maybe try out this new feature. So if I look here, again, I could come under application and I might find something that is, relevant to me. Use new Excel layouts for 35 selected reports. That's pretty cool. We also have some screenshots here. I can see when the public preview is and when it's generally available, as well as any additional information. And if I think that this is something I want to add, I can actually see this has been added to my release planner because I only see the little delete button here. But if I say, this is cool, let's come back and review this, I can click on the plus. Normally you'd be able to click on the plus and add it to your release plans. And then if I come under my release plans, I could now come back and I could see everything that I've kind of flagged or starred. And now I have this smaller list where I can really focus my time and I can dig deeper into chat with Copilot, or I can go in the new sandbox that Kim's created for us and try out some of that functionality. So I like to stay up to date with this as much as possible, just because these are the things that we know are coming and we have more information about what they are as well as the dates that they might be released. So it's a way to be proactive about knowing what's coming into the system. Any questions on the release planner? I like this because it's so interactive. The one thing that I wish was here was some way to kind of share this with your team or dump it in Excel or something like that, just where I could get it in a format that would be easier to share or manipulate. But that's really my only thing. I can add notes here as well if I'd like. Okay, show of hands in Teams. Has anyone used the release planner previously? Okay, I think I've only known about it for about 1.5 years, and it's one of the things I found very helpful. My second example, I am going to pull up Business Central for. So it's great that we have the release planner, but what if there's something we think could be really helpful in Business Central? How can we go about finding information on that and letting Microsoft know that this is something that we think would be good? In Business Central, if we go to the little question mark, which is help, we can go to help and support. This will open a bunch more additional information. So there is a blog, there's help, here's information on what's coming soon, but I want to focus on this give feedback section and specifically the Business Central ideas link. And I often tell people to come here if I'm working with a user and they say, I really don't like that the system does this, or it should be able to do this. I always say, instead of just complaining about it, go out to this BC ideas page and see if the idea is already in there. And if it is, vote on it to let Microsoft know you'd like it. And if it's not, you can create your own idea and try to get others to vote on it. So this is categorized into different categories. I typically look under financial management because that's most related to what I do in the system. And I can see I can sort it in different areas. What's top, what's hot, what's new. We see how many people voted on it, a high level of what it is. We also, most importantly, see the status. So this one was suggested by someone in 2018, and you can see someone from the BC team commented that it was released in April of 2023. So it did take quite a bit of time for Microsoft to test this, make sure it was right, get it implemented. But because of this, we did get the ability to perform this action. And if I scroll down, there's more things that have been completed. This one is under review. We can see that there is one that actually was declined. And it's not just Microsoft saying, we don't want to do this, but there's an alternative that is supposed to be used as opposed to this suggestion. So you can actually see that the program manager of financial reporting for Microsoft explained why this one was declined. If we scroll down further, there should be some that say that they need more votes. So here, translations of GL account name, you could read through this. If this is something that you think is cool, you could sign in. I'm not signed in right here, and you could actually vote on it. So once it hits that threshold, which I don't know exactly what that is, but Microsoft will, take it into consideration. You can even see here, they say, currently not in our roadmap, but if we get more feedback and votes, we may consider it in the future. So I always say be proactive about the changes that you want to see in Business Central, because if the Microsoft team doesn't know that something isn't working right or we want something else, we don't tell them, they can't help implement that. So I found that they're very interested in user feedback, especially at the conferences as well, of just figuring out what it is that we want and why. All right, my last resource that I like to use is LinkedIn. So I said I did these in a specific order. One, for the release planner, I like to be proactive and look for what's already planned. That's kind of my primary approach. My second approach would be, if it's not something that's planned, I want to know if someone else has recommended it. And additionally, can I vote on that? What can I do to make it happen? Can I share it? So just knowing others' ideas. And then finally, if there's anything I've missed throughout those two processes, even if I review all of this information in here in detail, I'm going to miss something. It's just going to happen. So LinkedIn is a really good resource because there are, and I can see here's something new that Claude just, posted, but there's lots of links to additional resources, blogs, conferences, but also users, including myself, sometimes just post quick tips or reminders of functionality we have in Business Central. Especially I find that when new releases are announced, users are posting that additional functionality in here. So if I just even scroll through LinkedIn, I'll do this at night when it's I don't want to be super proactive about learning, but I'm still going to, do something to forward my education. I can see that here's a training video. Let's see what else. Here's, the algorithm must have caught on that I was sending cows in chat, because here's Sean's cow calculator. We have some stuff here. Soren works for Microsoft. It's unofficial setup tip video, which is wonderful and awesome. So if I just scroll through here, I can find so many resources about things that are new or just even existing functionality that we may have forgotten about that can help us better use the system. And the thing I like about this as well is one person might post something. For example, the other day I posted about scheduling reports, and then a few people added on and mentioned that it's available in specific role centers. Someone else mentioned you can turn on an emailing capability for this if users want reports delivered to their email. So it's just great to have that community interaction, because even if I know I can schedule reports, maybe I don't know everything that we can do with it. So it's just really great to see that interaction and see what others are posting and saying about topics. So that's one of my favorite resources, actually. That is all I have, unless there are any questions. And this prevents me from scrolling through Instagram at night, because I feel like I am scrolling through LinkedIn. At least I'm learning new things. So there's that.
I love it. Fantastic. All right. Those are some great resources, you guys.
So I wanted to be sure that folks who are on the call are already aware of the Dynamics Communities user group. So this is a paid user group, and so you do need to have access to this, but it's at the company level. So I find that for most companies, this membership is well worth it because you are getting such a giant amount of information available. And this is where you can access the user group community of people who are going to help answer questions for you. So this is something that doesn't exist anywhere else. I'm going to say, well, because
this group focuses on supporting the user group, not only with information, but a place to exchange those kind of discussions. I'm just logged into the main page here. And if you're looking for information about Business Central, just like other Microsoft and Dynamics products, you want to make sure to select the 𝗬𝗲𝘂𝗿 and 𝗩𝗂𝗂𝗂. Now, if you're using other things like Copilot and the Power Platform and Fabric, you may be looking for things there as well as your company expands its use into things other than its ERP. But if I choose this, or the 𝗬𝗲𝗂𝗂𝗂 community, you'll see that there is a whole page here dedicated toward a whole lot of interesting things. So upcoming events is always going to show what's happening with national user group meetings. So there's a meeting once a month that is an educational presentation by the user group on a number of different topics, and that's free to register for. There are also other webinars. These webinars are available as recordings as part of your membership. There are some on-demand sessions that are available from prior conferences that they've held. So again, if you've had a registration previously for that conference, then you have access to those on-demand sessions here as well. But the thing that I find absolutely the most valuable are the posts that we have in the feed. There's more information about the webinars, but there's a lot of requests out here. So somebody may post a question about whatever topic they're needing help with. And I generally find that people will respond to this within a couple of hours. Every once in a while, you might get kind of a weird lull if there's a holiday or weekend or something like that. But as I scroll through here, I can see that this is pretty active, and we've got lots of people jumping in to help and answer these kind of questions. So great stuff here where you can stay in contact with other people in the community who are using the software every day like you are, but also to get your questions answered. I know that a lot of people say that one of their strategies as far as getting questions answered is to utilize their user group membership by going to ask a question here first before they call their partner. There's not a single partner out there who would have a problem with that, because they know that they want to help you with the big strategic things, and some of the everyday things you can find more quickly here. So while your partner is happy to help you with those things, they're also happy to have you involved with the user group and have other people helping you with those things as well, especially related to real world use, things that other people are doing every day, just like you are. So there are just incredible resources out here on the user group community. I almost can't say enough about it. And I really encourage you to, if you're not involved with this group, get involved and set aside a little bit of time on your calendar, even just half an hour a day, to go and scroll that feed, because the learning that you can have just from reading those articles and discussions is truly invaluable, because it's real time. It's what other people are struggling with at their businesses in the moment, or trying to solve, or trying to figure out. And I guess I should point this out. There is a rich community of user group all-stars and user group legends. And Kim and I are both part of those groups who regularly publish articles and do webinars as a free service to the community. So you're getting some really high quality stuff out there from people who are very senior in the industry, sharing information that they know people want to have, and creating content out here on this user group website. One of the things that the user group does do during the year is they have an annual event, so a big conference, and it's called Community Summit. This year, it's in San Antonio in the middle of October. And I would say that if you are someone who uses Business Central with your company, find a way to get to this event. This is the one event annually that I would absolutely recommend that you get to. There are others, and they also have their purposes. This particular event is huge, and they've got so much for you that I really encourage you to go. And if you can manage it, don't go alone. Bring somebody else from your company with. there will be way too much content available for you to be able to attend everything at once. So having somebody or more than one somebody who can come with you to kind of divide and conquer on the content actually will be a huge benefit to you. They have a lot of pre-conference activities with their academy classes. So you can find all sorts of academy classes. Now, these are additional paid courses, but it's a great way for you to get some intensive training. And if I scroll through here, I can see quite a few things. We don't see a whole lot of developer training. So this is a great opportunity for some developer training, advanced manufacturing, so accounting, specific things like fixed assets and security and permissions by our very own 𝗬𝗂𝗿𝗄 and Cynthia Prevey. So lots of great things with the Academy that are prior to the conference. And these are usually half day to 1 day or even 2-day classes. So there is an additional fee, but a great way to get your education there. And if you can't make it to the pre-conference, take some time to look through the agenda here. Let's see, I'll go to the starting day, see if I can find something with the education sessions. If you're on the session list here, you want to, as always, filter by your product. So in this case, I'm going to filter by Business Central, and we've got 188 sessions just for Business Central that are represented here. So we've got 50 that are showing on this first page. Now, this does include all of the Academy, so I could do some further filtering, but that's a ton of sessions for really 4 days or so of time to be able to go to that particular conference. So plan to either do your work in the evening or take a break from your regular work, because this is going to be a huge deep dive learning experience where you can attend sessions all day and learn about the software. And I will tell you, I know that not everybody likes networking, but the networking with this community is different. People here are so eager to help other people to solve their problems that you will hear that discussion the entire time during this conference. You know, what's your list of things that you're working on? What do you need help solving? Who do you need to meet? What session do you need to go to figure out this thing? So you will find that people are incredibly helpful in trying to help everybody who's there solve their issues, because that's why we're all there. We're not just taking a vacation. We're there to learn things and solve problems for our companies and bring those back to our homes to be successful in our career endeavors. So I almost can't say enough about that. There are other organizations as well that have other conferences. And one of the other leaders that I really like seeing in the space is DynamicsCon. So DynamicsCon also has 2 events every year. They have DynamicsCon Live and they have DynamicsCon Virtual. Their next one that's coming up for DynamicsCon Live is in May next year in Chicago. And this group is a very different type of group, but no less dynamic, pardon the pun, because they do a really great job of soliciting great content from speakers for their events that are then approved by public vote. So it's a very interesting process, and it ensures that the content is fresh. So all of the presentations that are given at this conference are selected by people who are going to be attending simply because it's something that people want to learn about, right? So you don't have the problem of stale content or the same old presentation over and over and over again. This particular one can get pretty spicy when it comes to new ideas for content. I will say that this one is a little bit more of a mix of developer versus functional type of content. The community summit is more functional in nature. You will find a few spaces for developer learning, and there are learning tracks for developers, but the vast majority is functional. You'll find a better mix here. If you can't make it to the live conference, which I would recommend, it's really a great group and also very invested in helping each other to solve problems, then you can always go to the virtual event as well, which is once a year. I think that both groups are starting to expand with regional user groups and road shows, that kind of thing. So smaller type of gatherings for people in different regions. So great way to be able to connect with those communities through those conferences, and a great thing to be able to put on your professional development plan for the year. So this is certainly something that I used to do before I became a co-founder of this company, is I would always have these particular conferences on my list to go to for my own learning purposes. So, and I can absolutely guarantee that you'll always find me and Kim and Carrie at these conferences. So we're always presenting sessions. So we would love to say hi to you. So if you'd like a chance to talk with us in person at one of these conferences, just look us up in the speaker list. We're always there. And we would be happy to talk with you about how things are going for you and your use of Business Central. All right. So one last resource that I just can't resist showing you is our very own LearnDynamics on-demand training portal. So this is something that we just launched over a year ago. It's new-ish, but we've had so much fun putting together these courses for people on demand. And these are things that we used to offer as publicly available classes. And the one thing we could never get right for people was the correct timing, right? So the timing is so important as far as when you're ready to learn. So we created all of our courses as on-demand courses. And I shouldn't say all of our courses. We have about a dozen courses out there. We have 80 courses that are prepared and available to be taught at any time. And we're slowly converting those over. But we've picked our most popular ones as a good starting point. So if you take a look at our courses page, you can see some of our featured courses, including our Controllers Bootcamp, which we're giving away one of those during our event this afternoon, and which is also on sale through the end of August for $999. And we're also giving away our new navigation and personalization course, 3 of those to people who are attending the event today. And remember, this is new because it's updated with all of the latest and greatest stuff that has come in the last couple of updates. But you can see all of our courses here. So we've got quite a few that are accounting related today. There are other things that are coming in the future. We release about 3 or 4 new courses every year as part of our plan to continue to develop on-demand courses for people who are looking for that type of training. So if you can't attend one of those conferences and you don't have time to be at that place at a certain time, you can always sign up for our on-demand courses on your own schedule. Shauna asks, is the Learn Microsoft both technical and functional, or leans toward more technical? I would say Microsoft Learn, it's a mix, and it really depends on where you look. So there's when you start out on Microsoft Learn, there's a big kind of table of contents on the left-hand side, and it'll emphasize the functional, and there's a section for developers in Microsoft Learn. So if you're a developer and you're looking for that type of more technical information, you'll find it, but it's at the bottom part of the section in its own kind of area. The functional stuff comes up first, I think, because more end users are looking for that information first.
Yeah, you can also filter by roles. So you can filter for like business analyst, and then that'll bring more functional and developer or functional consultant even. So I didn't scroll down far enough so you could see that. But if you just scroll down the left side of the page, you'll see you can filter by roles, by level, by subjects. So there's quite a bit you can do to filter it down to get what you need.
Yeah, absolutely. Great resource. Probably the number one resource I go to first for things before I hit Google for other stuff. Overall, blogs more functional. I'm not quite sure what you mean with that question, Shauna, but I'll take a guess. So most of the blogs that you'll find out there are going to be one or the other. So if you look at my blog is going to be almost 100% functional. If you look at Eric's blog, his is going to be almost 100% technical. It really depends on the expert. So one of the things that you can do is you can look for experts in Business Central, and you'll start finding a good list of blogs of people who have that particular emphasis one way or the other.
I will say one last thing on Microsoft, on learn.microsoft. The one big complaint, it's a great place to start because it gives you the steps and kind of how things work. It doesn't necessarily give you the when or why you use something or how to apply it. And that's where other people's blogs come into play. But it's a great first step because you have to understand the steps to do it. But then there's just like a little bit of gap. So just keep that in mind.
Did your team ever really get good training to understand how to use your business software? Do you think you could use more features of your software if you just knew how? Are you frustrated with inefficiency that never seems to get better? Do you suspect that there just has to be a better way, but you don't know what that is? We believe every company can benefit from increased efficiency and higher utilization of their software, and that it's possible to have fun while learning exactly how to do that. The experts at NewView Strategies work with frustrated Business Central and NAV users who struggle to use their system and find the answers they need. We teach them to truly understand how the system can support their business processes to make immediate and lasting improvements. As a result, they get more done in less time, make better decisions, and even love their system. Please contact us at getyournewview.com to get started.